I think something I've been spending a lot of time on recently is the first 5-6 years of someone's life is so formative. And I have this hypothesis lately that if you are lucky enough to be born into a family that doesn't have a lot financially, but is incredibly happy and loving, you've started life in a foundation that gives you a massive advantage, because you realize that money is not the answer to happiness. And I am that person. I was born in the Soviet Union. I got very fortunate to come to this great country when I was 3 years old, and life was super hard. I lived with 9 family members in a studio apartment the size of this stage in Queens. We grew up lower middle class the majority of my early childhood, but it was a happy household. My mom, as you mentioned quickly, is the hero of my life, and she instilled incredibly massive foundations for me around kindness and empathy and compassion and all the things. I mean, literally VeeFriends, the IP that I'm building right now on the back of NFTs, which will have the biggest booth at this convention in 10 years, is really is really the seed of how my mother saw the world. My mom lost her mom at 5, grew up in the Soviet Union, like real tough life, and really showed me all the true answers to the world. And so I grew up very much not entitled. My mom was the sweetest as pie, but my mom is super cheap and we were poor. So everything I ever wanted, she looked me in the face and said, go get it. So lemonade stands, washing cars, shoveling snow. You know, I'm built on hard work. I think entitlement is a disease. I think a lot of people have it today. And I'm very grateful I don't. And I think we're all byproducts of our childhood. I think there's things that I've had to work on just like anybody else. I think as grown-ups, we can do that. You can't just say, oh, my parents fucked me up. You know, you've got to work at it. But I am as grateful as one can be on earth. I've been writing a book in my head. I've written a lot of books, but the one that I've been holding nearest and dearest is a book that I'm gonna call Perfectly Parented. And I'm gonna talk about how they did it, what they did, and I hope it creates different conversations, because I think parenting is one of the most important conversations in the world. The thing that inspires me daily, and why I put myself so out there and built the following that I built, and definitely why I'm building VeeFriends, is we have the capacity to change.
Yeah.
Humans inspire me so much. You know, we're sitting here as the byproduct of some good situations, but listen, you and I had a bunch of stuff. I didn't know my dad at all. He worked every day of his life until I was 14. Like, you know, like everyone's got stuff, but taking on the challenge of leaning into optimism and figuring out whether it's meditation, exercise, counseling, education, the consumption of positive content versus negative content, or whatever your path is, I think it's really inspiring that we have the capacity to evolve as well. And that's what I spend my life on, which is I have a level of guilt and gratitude of thinking I had a great situation, and I want to and continue to push the conversation that if one doesn't, you have so much capacity to change your outcome, and I'm inspired by that. I tell people all the time, you're in control. Like, you're in control of what you put out into the world. I deal with it and unpack it very easily. I put into the world what I'm willing to share, and I don't what I'm not willing to share. And too many people get caught up in the game. They want likes, they want followers, they want the blue check mark. And what usually does well? Kids, family stuff. But as a private person, that's not something I'm willing to share. On the flip side, I'm willing to be the most intellectually generous around everything that's ever worked for me. I think the thing that works for me is when I make a piece of content, I think most people, when they make content, say, what's in it for me? I'm gonna get likes, I'm gonna get a customer, I'm gonna get that blue check mark. I think the reason I have the career I have is from the first video I made about wine on YouTube in February 2006 to the stuff I put out today. My brain has always thought, why would anybody watch this? Like why are you watching this? Like, why is this good for you? And for me, I have always lived under abundance. You know, I respect people's time. I don't have entitlement. I think I have to fight for it. And so I spend a lot of time reading my direct messages and my emails to try to figure out where the temperature is in the world and what are the issues and what are the opportunities, what do people struggle with, I never talk about anything I've never done. So I think one thing that's really worked for me is I don't talk about stuff I don't know. I think the reason the industry is doing better, macro, is we've become less transactional. People are protecting their brand. They don't need the brand in every category to maximize the P&L. They realize if they make some sort of silly thing for short-term money, it might hurt their overall thing. That's how I've always thought. I've been very patient. I never do anything that can tarnish me. I really work on that. I think it's important. I just don't know how any level of money is worth you not putting your head on a pillow at night. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not how I see the world. And so I focus on that. I also think the world is abundant. I also am incredibly patient. You know, I spent the first 12 years of my career building my dad's business for him. I started my company at 34 years old in another company's conference room because we had no money. I was 34 before I ever made $100,000 a year. Like, you can accomplish a lot. Everyone's so anxious. Everyone wants it so fast. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. They want to make it now so they can show or enjoy. Like, to me, enjoy the process of your career, not the money you make from your career so you can then enjoy it. And that's the game I play.